Actually, you learn naturally. Remember, you can't break me or fracture me. All you could do is try to Margaret Thatcher me, but ain't gonna happen. You learn naturally. It'd be John Zidi on the mic MC. Peace and love to everybody. One love.
Well, welcome, Patricia.
Hi there.
Thanks for spending some time with me to discuss the very, very wonderful Rhythm of Life reggae exhibition. You've now completed the tour here at the Chestnut Community Centre, and I saw a lot of dynamic things happening. So, and I see you are a key person. You are an anchor post inside of this great structure. So I'm pleased to have a moment with you for you to tell us a bit about yourself and something about the exhibition. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, well, my name's Patricia Palmer. I've been associated with Colin for about approximately 6 years, and my involvement in the Rhythm of Life Reggae exhibition is part of my personal journey. My love for music, my love for reggae music, my love for myself as an African heritage individual, my interest in maintaining and reclaiming what is essentially ours, my work around equality in the past when I worked for the Inner London Education Authority, through the work that I was involved with, made me aware of a lot of ignorance in terms of who we are as a people and how our heritage, our culture, our resources constantly being exploited. And for me, in terms of my commitment, is about what I do to sustain myself and maintain a focus which is about reclaiming, as well as maybe educating people about reclaiming what is rightfully ours. Not that I'm not prepared to share, but I think too much of our heritage has been depleted and exploited in a way where it's taken, redefined, and then put back to us as if it's we needed to have it in the first place. So I suppose my thing is about wanting to reclaim my identity and what belongs to us as African heritage people. But as I said, not that I don't want to share, but it's about recognition, giving recognition to what is the root of life, if you like, the root of where things come from.
Okay, wonderful. Tell me, just for our audience here on You Learn Naturally Radio, they may not have heard of the exhibition before. Can you just give us an introduction to what the exhibition actually is?
The exhibition, from my perspective, is about honouring people who have been involved in bringing reggae music to the world. The various artists who have been a part of that process. Again, it's okay to say, well, people take away what is ours and then, it's not respected. But I think for me, it's about respecting the contribution that has been made by so many individuals and honouring those individuals and ensuring that and the young people come after have a sense of where this music has come from.
And how does that practically happen in the exhibition? What's in the exhibition?
In the exhibition, what you have, for instance, the equipment that, like the radiogram that was there, which for a lot of people back in the early days, the 60s, 70s, was very prominent in their home. So it's something that they can relate to. Oh my God, my mum had one of these, or my dad had one of these, and it was so precious. It was a very important feature. And then, of course, that links with the sound system, the valve amplifier, those people who used to go out to play their music, tour, carry those heavy boxes. So the equipment, the pictures.
So those things are like the antiques of the reggae world. Yes.
And again, in essence, what we want to have is create is a museum. So these antiques can be a feature for current people currently who is part of their history, but those who will come after to know the journeys that has been made to where we are today.
Is there a plan for that? A museum? Is there
that is in essence what we want. That is what we aim for. Having the exhibition in different location is fine, but I think having it located somewhere permanently, where where it will attract people, tourists as well as local residents in the UK, is something that we are very interested in developing.
Has anything been identified as any potential places, or
no potential place as such? But having the High Commissioner of the Jamaican Embassy here, attending here, and he was really quite impressed, very supportive, and prepared to endorse the project. We will approach the embassy as well as others to find out if there's a possible location that would be maybe allocated or offered to us, because I think having a base is so much better. We'd be happy to continue taking it around, tour, and linking with the Caribbean, Jamaica and Africa, because I think the music, reggae music, is something that is loved throughout the globe.
Yes, indeed.
Everywhere.
Indeed.
And I know I was in the Gambia not too long ago, and we went to a club called Lama Lama, and the reggae music there was being blasted, and the people were so enthralled by it. They were so excited, and it's a message that it brings from the individuals in terms of love, and sharing, and celebration, and it's just wonderful. So, and I know in other places, whether it's in the Far East, Japan, Germany, Europe, South America, wherever, America, everywhere, it's something that brings joy to people. And also the fact that it's now been declared by the United Nations as a heritage, part of national. I'm not sure what the terminology is, but it is a
World Heritage.
World Heritage, yes. That's also gives us a platform then to raise the whole area of reggae music. And everything that's associated with it, which is African heritage people, link it all together, which I think is very important.
I see that. That situation there, I noted that when it was made World Heritage. What does that? Because you said it gives a platform. What kind of platform does it give?
It gives a platform for African heritage people involved in the industry to create something that's going to be that leaves a legacy for African people. I think what I feel and what makes me upset is when, as I say, parts of our heritage is taken, dominated by others who have the resources, and then they then create something and make megabucks from it, and the origin is lost, if you know what I mean.
What is the origin?
African people's, possession, property, if you like, property rights.
No, I mean the reggae. What is the origin of reggae? What's the essence of reggae? Can you? I know it's a kind of philosophical question, a deep question. What is for you? What is the essence of reggae? Can you? I tell you where I'm going with the question, and I did ask the elder as well. If music seems to be influencing each other, different genres of music seem to influence each other, and for me it's clear that reggae has a very powerful influence on music throughout the world, and also hip-hop has a very powerful influence on music throughout the world, alongside other things, but I would say that from here I feel that the young people, their attraction to music, their genre of music that they're going for is not necessarily reggae.
No.
Right.
No.
So what is the principle that should be maintained to keep it still being reggae? At some point you might be doing a thing that started as reggae and it can be changing over time and come into different forms. What keeps it to still be reggae music? Perhaps I'm not the right person to speak on this, but for me reggae is about a vibration in terms of the drum and the bass, and it raises one's vibration. For me anyway, I can only speak personally. It raises a sense of I don't know, spiritual vibration, connection.
I just see it as a very peaceful music in terms of the vibrations of reggae.
Okay, that's is beautiful, of course. I had the good pleasure to look around. I saw the panels. I think I kind of interrupted your flow when you were explaining it. So you spoke about the antiques, the antiques of reggae, the reggae world, and those sort of iconic things that bring back memories. And I think you were just about to speak about the displays. So in those displays, you have taken up the whole of the hall area with very large displays of artists, imagery of artists, the leading ones.
There's more to be added.
No, of course. I did speak to Colin. It's obvious that there's no physical space you can have that's going to have every artist in it. It's not possible to do that. Well, unless you take a big stadium and you have a huge tour for this. But it's good to capture the idea, and I think it did do that. But some of the artists, they're known for their battling. They speak a certain hard lyric. Is that still the same love you're talking about and harmony? Is it still inside of that as reggae music?
I think so, and I think what impressed me about the artists is when you look at the imagery, there's a vibrancy about within some of those individuals that it just oozes out of the panels. It's life, a liberty, an upness, upfulness, if you like, of which for me, it's about looking at that rather than the drudgery, which is so often what people get sucked into. If you have, if you understand what I'm saying.
I get you.
I'm looking. I'm doing this into it, and I'm looking outside, and I'm looking at the glimmer of the sun, the warmth of the light through the leaves, and it's just that energy of life. Is what I got when I looked at some of those posters or some of those individuals.
I know what you
mean. The light of life, if you like. And reggae music when you're on that.
Of life.
Yeah, when you're in that sort of frame, it just makes you free and connected with the universe, the world, the globe.
Yes.
For me, anyway. Maybe I'm going off into one, but that's for me. And I just feel if people were able to detach themselves from the mundanity of life, that's energy would ooze from them.
Yeah. I see that.
And so some of the anger, the bitterness, the lower worlds, if you like, in terms of how people experience their, constantly battling, constantly angry, that would take them away from that and set them free, if you like.
Yeah, I hear you, and I also love that view that you're enjoying. It's our office view here at the centre. So it's
trees and greenery and light.
That's right, nature. It's
nature.
It's great to be based in a park.
Yeah, I think that's the thing around reggae music as well. It's about connecting to nature. That flow of life. That I can't find the words. I'm usually very good, but that flow of life, that flow of energy, that sort of freeness.
I get you. I think to answer my own question about the challenging side of the lyrics, maybe like this, I see the reggae music. It contains a way to express all aspects of life and the liberty of people in their comings and goings. But that side of it, it's what we use the language tawagi. It means warrior.
Okay.
So it reflects there's a strong warriorism, warrior culture inside of the reggae music.
Yes.
And that then defends the vibrancy. So even a person can be speaking in a hard way on hard subjects, but still there's a beauty in the way they are being
in the rhythm
about themselves.
Yes.
And the rhythms. It's beautiful to see that kind of uprightness.
Yeah.
I agree for that.
Learn from the basics, and it's Naturally Radio. Get involved now. Learn, and it's Naturally Radio. Get involved now.
Yo! Thank you very much.
something came up. Maybe it's a similar thing. I think it's a similar issue. There's been recently a drill tune, drill, the kind of hip hop variant, a derivative of hip hop
Yes.
that young people are listening to, and the drill tends to focus in on basically the sort of grime side of youth culture. It tends to focus in on this, with many artists focusing in on completely, their songs are completely for this. Anyway, there was one song recently called Attempted 1.0, and this song is the first song to be banned for the artists. The artists were arrested for trying to sing the song at a concert, and apparently the new laws were enacted in order for them to do that action. I listened to it. It's very graphic what they're portraying. Essentially, they are taking the position of the attacker doing the knife crime that our community abhors.
Yes.
Like this, the artists are putting themselves as ones advocating it, being about it, boastful about it, and their powers inside of that. So on that level, the lyrics are base and ugly and weak, but obviously attractive to a certain way of being, like this. But I bring all of that up because, to me, all of these things are still deriving from something, and the same way that there can be that in the reggae music, there can be ones talking hard lyrics, the cutty ranks, and ones, all manner of ones speaking hard lyrics, especially when they enter a clash with the next one that they have meaningful grudge with, which can and has led to violence in the Caribbean and anywhere it's been. I would say that reggae music in many cultures outside of the Caribbean and inside of the Caribbean has also an association of violence. But what I would say for all of that is that there's a warrior spirit attached with it, which we don't often talk about. And I think that is part of the beauty of it, that it's kind of defended, though not overtly. People are trying to put it to the back, and by trying to put it to the back, that's where we've lost the youth, and they've gone off to other things.
I think so. I mean, I don't know a lot about drill music or grime, but I feel that this is a way, in terms of the warrior spirit of reggae music, I think this is one way that the media uses grime, and young people exploit them. In the early days, reggae music was used as an educational tool.
Sorry, when you say that, who exploits who? What exploits what?
I think that we live in an exploitative environment, and particularly racism, and I think there's an undercurrent still of taking away, pulling pulling away what you're able to stand on, the earth from under your feet, sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think over if you think about, how people used to come together back in the 50s, the 60s, and there was a strong unity among African heritage people, and gradually over a period of time, that's broken down. So in terms of young people, I think it's the search for an identity, which they're not able to find in this environment. So the drill music or the gang culture is a way of them trying to come together. But then I think it's misunderstood by the wider society, and it serves their purpose to paint a negative picture of young people, particularly young black people. And in that way, you'll have the elders who will be critical of why are these young people doing this. The wider white society say, oh my gosh, what's going on? And in that way, you actually kill that creativity that is naturally there, that warrior spirit that you spoke about, which through the music, through creativity, it's like poems, poetry, and other things can be used for good or evil, or good or bad. And I think the young people, I don't necessarily endorse it in terms of the violence, but it's about expression. And if this is their way of actually saying, well, I'm here and I'm going to have my say, and I don't care how I'm going to do it, and the impact it has on the wider society, so be it. I mean, I don't agree with that, and I think this is where there needs to be some, the people who are working with young people have this understanding of the environment we're in and the destructive nature of this environment, particularly towards black men, black boys, because I think there's a deliberate, in my view, a deliberate attempt to destroy African people's spirit, soul. That's my view. And in living in this environment, I've grown here since I was 9 years of age.
Your family from?
I was born in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. I came to join my father, who came to the UK in 1957. I grew just myself and my father, so I've had to learn to connect with lots and lots of different people, from different places, because it was just myself and my dad. So I've associated with lots and lots of different people, as I said, and the unity that existed in the early days doesn't seem to be there anymore. And it could be, in terms of economic advancement of some people, where people are moving away, that link isn't there anymore. And I think there's a sense of abandonment. And so maybe the music, in terms of what's been criticised now, the drill music, and the enforcement of law against individuals, is another form of punishment for young people. It's dumbing down. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Subdue.
Because
it's
if you
subdue the.
I mean, I think Storms is one of the most successful artists. I don't know. Would you say he's drill or grime, or is his genre different? I'm not really sure.
I must admit, I'm not as close to it to speak on the differences between the artists in that way. But I do have the intention for our organisation to get close to it. I think it's important. We'll do it, particularly because I'm clear that no one else is doing it in the way that I can see has to be done in order to clarify what's happening and to give both the community and specifically the young people the right clarity about what they're doing and what they're choosing or what's coming around them and how things are working around the context. So we have some projects for this that are being started. You see, the lyrics for that song, to me, it's not different from other kinds of lyrics that I've heard in reggae. It's the difference, if anything, is that if there is a difference, the difference is the rise of a kind of complete fearlessness of the state. It's talking about harming themselves. They're talking about slaughtering each other, but they have no regard for the environment. So they're making themselves to be a sovereign entity, just marauding wildly in the lyrics. The lyrics speak like this. And I think if I'm right, and we're checking this out carefully, if I'm right, then effectively the state, by trying to ban it, have caught fear. They've caught fear for this.
I there's a misunderstanding because
what's the misunderstanding? I think there is no misunderstanding. I think that the state and the agencies around that come of the state are very clear what's being said and the nature of the implications of that line of thinking if left unchecked.
I think I agree with you in that respect. But then what I'm saying, that's another way in which the state keep people of African heritage and creative people, in terms of expressing your concern. They don't want to hear it.
But you see, the challenging part of this for me, because I've been on the other side, like we're here in a community centre, this place and other places, they're often trying to have what they would call youth safety summits and this kind of talk, which are so far away from the youth.
Well, exactly.
It's incredible.
What do the youth want? Has anybody actually asked the young people what they want?
Well, they try, but it's not. To me, it's not really. It's not about asking them what they want. It's about knowing what they want. It's about being close enough to know.
Okay.
If you're a guardian, if you're an adult and a parent, and you have a very young child, there's a range of things you can ask, and there's a range of things that you're just taking care of. And there's some things, if you did ask, you would get some strange answers, and you just have to override the answer or harmonise the answer to a better reality. So I think this is a situation like that. But the state can't ask our youth what they want, and they can't do it on our behalf. And the things that they're talking about, it's the seed of a very potent warriorism, which even the community is afraid of at this point in time. So therefore the community can't answer to them. This is why they're so detached, in my assessment of it. So it requires something very, very special to engage with them, and I think we have something of this in our pedagogy. But to the reggae music now, back to the form. We're still in it, but I think the exhibition has been really good. I saw it yesterday. I think I was part of it some way. So
well, the drumming that you got involved with was absolutely excellent. A lot of people commented on how uplifting and energising the drumming was. And again, it's part of African heritage, isn't it? The drumming is so important.
That's right.
And it's about vibrations, and it's about raising people's vibrations, because I think for too often people are like swimming in mud. If you that imagery, you're not getting anywhere. So it's about raising the vibration so people can actually, swim much easier, or come out of the water and there's like a fish, because there's flying fish.
Yeah, that's right.
There?
That's right.
Or soar into the air and just overlook the earth. So taking people out of the drudgery of life and lifting them up. And coming back to young people, I don't think enough time and attention is given. I mean, I've worked for some time in a voluntary capacity with young people, with youth workers, particularly somebody called Kafensi Taskani, a senior youth worker in Southwark, and we organised African and Caribbean youth conferences, and those were very, very successful. We worked with the schools.
I know of his work. Very great work.
So I was one of the individuals working with and so we organised the workshops for young people around housing, education, looked at young people who were in care, the different aspects in terms of social interactions. And it was about organising workshops so we could hear from the young people what their issues were, what their concerns were, and put that together and then approach the various local authorities, the departments, to see, well, in terms of your policy, are you addressing these issues that concern young people? I feel that from the abolition of the Inner London Education Authority, where education is now very much a local authority concern, not enough funding or resources are put into the area that actually would enable young people's voices to be heard. And so they get overlooked.
I hear you. You're right. On that level, not enough resources are there, definitely. But on the level of like this, the real inner workings of what's happening with the youth mind, that would would have mass following for this kind of music, and the world of that, and the fear of that. Like you were talking about reggae music being uplifting and liberating, and even for me, the root of the reggae is African culture, as you said. It is the drum, the rhythm of life, the harmony with nature, the freedom of expression. I was very pleased that people felt compelled to move like this, and your dancing was fantastic for this, of course. Give thanks. So yeah, it's great. But then you compare that kind of dynamic to the drill, and people can't dance to drill. You can't dance like in a liberated, upful way to drill music that's talking about slashing and killing and terror and fear. So the whole is it's an invert. However,
yes, you're right.
However, it's an invert, but to me it's circling around something. It still had a way to come around to another kind of form.
The warrior spirit is still there.
Absolutely.
And I think the invert that in terms of it being inverted, is about the frustration, I think, that's been expressed.
Yeah, it's true.
So, if we're able to acknowledge the damage that's been done to the souls of these young people, and create something where it might be possible for us to bring them round back to, loving themselves. Because I think the drill grime is very destructive. And if we're able, and I think there needs to be a way of actually enabling young people to see that there is a lot more to life. But I don't know how that's going to be done. Do you know what I mean? Because if the state and decision makers are not acknowledging the young people in the way that they want to be acknowledged, and celebrating what they're doing, because a lot of young people are doing some great work.
You know, to me, how it would be done. For one, it can only be done by the community. Only by this. There's no state agency can touch this thing in any bona fide way, article way. When, for example, the day that there is a drill section inside of the reggae exhibition, that there is some section that gives tribute to all the derivatives of the reggae to show legacy and lineage like this, and there's a space for it, so that then those ones in that thing, they can see, this is where it connects, and but if we silo things, and I think to me reggae music has been a bit siloed now. It's been tempered, from I think the time for Buju Banton, when he took a certain challenge to the world and the views of homosexuality, and the world responded, and then we've seen how the story played out for this.
Yes.
And those things, that response is not unsimilar to how nations respond to nations who pose a threat, by having to send a signal of some kind, or to demonstrate some sort of force to make a point. So, and when that point's made, the idea is that the opponent is subdued, like this, so that whatever that idea was that they were carrying, they should drop it. So those things have
this is how we are. People say we're in a psychological war, and I think these are the ways that the tactics, some of the tactics are used to dumb people down, to prevent people from expressing themselves. Because with the reggae music, coming back to the warrior spirit within the reggae music, the violence, there was no violence in the same way. I mean, you had entertainers or artists competing with each other, but I don't think the level of violence was there back in the day.
I don't know. I really don't know. But my sense is that there has been significant violence around it. I don't think it's as definitely. It's not been the focal point like this, to have a genre that's just focused in straight on this. Every artist that's of the classic era for reggae. They may have some part of their collection that is like this, but then they've got another part of their collection that's dealing with
something else,
love and nature, or some next set of things, some next. They got balance in their reasoning.
Yes.
But some genre now, there's no balance in the reasoning.
Well, when there is no balance, then you get conflict, don't you? So it's really about, you know, acknowledging what's going on and actually trying to redress the balance.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It has to come from the community.
Yeah.
And it comes back to Colin's view, and you know, myself and others who support the Rhythm of Life reggae exhibition. It's trying to get a balance back, you know, and leave a legacy for young people. Because again, you know, people, reggae music has attracted so many people. There's now people doing lots of research, so you know, about the music and the impact it has on people, and definitely it's something for the good as opposed to for the bad. You know, it's a good thing, and it's for us on the ground to reclaim it, create something that's going to be valued and respected, and will be there for the future for young people to access. And it's not just African heritage, for everybody to access, because as I've said, reggae is loved, but because it's not part of the mainstream, it's, you know, put on the periphery. We now need to bring it mainstream and it to be given the respect and honour that it deserves. And all those people have participated in over the years. You know.
I would just add to that. I think the mainstream, we have to bring it mainstream to ourselves. Into our mainstream to our own natural liberty. Yes.
Mainstream, it won't necessarily be mainstream to the environment in which we exist, particularly here in the UK, but it will be mainstream for a lot of individuals who participated and enjoyed, you know, what it has done for them.
Yeah, definitely. I see that. And that the need to be able to defend the principles of a thing. Because the inability to defend the principles of it just means that it can be, as you said at the beginning, it can be taken away and malformed, represented back as the thing, and it's not checked properly.
Just to give an example of what you're saying, because I was on the door, you know, issuing the passes so people could actually go into the exhibition, and I was observing individuals as they came, and one particular person, he came, and he's in the music industry, you know, and I could see scepticism on his face. You know, I've just come along to see what's here. It won't be much. And so, you know, you can see he was quite withdrawn, you know, and sort of let me go and look anyway. And I looked at him when he came out, and it was like he was just beaming, because he was so excited by what he saw. It reconnected with something deep within him, and it just brought the light back to him, and he was shining, as opposed to be sort of in darkness when he went in, because he was like very sceptical. When he came out, it was like, this is me, this belongs to me. And I think you're right, it's about making it a central part of our heritage, our culture, you know, taking ownership of it for ourselves. And I think when that happens, then more people will, you know, be there to say, wow, I agree.
Illuminating. And on that note, thank you. It's been wonderful talking with you.
Thank you very much.
And more power to your work.
Thank you very much.
Astamari.
Astamari. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Tune into Natural Radio. I forgot.
Come again.
So you know Natural Radio. Naturally Radio.
You love Naturally Radio.
You learn Naturally Radio.
You learn Naturally Radio.
Yes.
Radio.
Could you possibly rewind and come again?
Are tuned in to You Learn Naturally Radio. You Learn Naturally Radio. YouLearnNaturally.org. YouLearnNaturally.org. Welcome to You Learn Naturally Radio, Elder Ras Al-Kebu Selassie. It's an honor to have you here. You're a visitor to the centre, Chestnut Community Centre today. We're having the Rhythm of Life Reggae exhibition, which is quite a phenomenal exhibition on reggae music, and the eye has passed through, and it would be wonderful for you to share a few words about your experience regarding this exhibition, your thoughts on it and the context. Let's reason for a moment.
Excellent, good. Anything like this, I would encourage it as a basis for education, particularly seeing how far reggae music has come over the last 40 years of full taking in it and observing it. There's a lot there for young people to learn and for newcomers to familiarize themselves with some of the things that has made reggae music so important and vital as an educational tool to our community.
Thank you. So you touched a thing there, this is very interesting. On You Learn Naturally, we are deeply interested in education and taking education forward to the context. I think that the way that standard system education works is something missing for our community. Some damage has been done, in fact, a lot of damage has been done. So we're interested in restructuring the way we do education, and I respect highly the history for reggae music and it as a vehicle for education and learning and communal expression. But I have a question. Is it relevant today? Is reggae music relevant today?
Always, and will ever be relevant. What you will get at times is that there's a disjuncture there in that we might question currency, we might question current music. And I tell you, one of the misrepresentations of reggae is that our music tends to be seen in the present. People tend to look at the popular, where quite often the popular does not represent the real thing. That's because of how things become popular. Things become popular because of people's expectations for doing it. People do it. Popularity usually means sales. Either through sales of recordings or sales of tickets to see a concert. So you have the motives are different than for people who do reggae music as an expression of their surroundings, the conflicts in their lives, the joys of their community, the expectations of their community. These kinds of information in the music, rather than doing the music for popularity, is what gives it its educational force. Those of us who qualify musicians, artists, producers on the basis of hits are quite often, in my opinion, missing the point. The point is not to be popular. It's not about mass acceptance. Yeah, acceptance of the rule. Bob Marley reached a lot of people, very popular. Doesn't mean there is no substance to that popularity. It's quite different there. That's what I mean by that. Where people are popular for the sake of popularity, it's got no substance. You see a lot of that in the so-called reggae music that's pushed by the mainstream. The mainstream, by which I mean big record companies and the type of people who pushing it. They have no substance. They do not care about the recipients. They do not care about the people who are even buying the music. As a consequence, I question, is it reggae they're playing, or them just make a thing? We have a term for that, we call it commercial. We call it commercial. And a lot of people, they just expect, they don't want to know commercial music because they can feel the vibes. It's not really right. It's a disjuncture. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit what they're looking for. It doesn't fit what they expect. And it's pushed on them. It's forcing them. And as a consequence of that, you got people claiming to be done of this, and they know nothing about reggae music. People claim to be great, and they're just learning to play two chords. People claiming this, they don't know how to write, they don't know how to express, and quite often they do not feel what we as a people feel, and therefore they cannot address the issues that we need addressing as forms of education. The damage or any damage to our education done by the mainstream is again up to us. We cannot keep blaming people for the occurrence of the same thing over and over and over centuries. It's got to be us. Yes, I know circumstances and of course the ability to change circumstances is not always with us, particularly in the material sense, to change things. But again, it's up to us to organize our material to give us the educational outputs that we're seeking, and we're not doing that. We're not funding reggae music in a way which keeps out the hustlers. No, we work the thing so much that a man just jump on it, ride with him foolishness, and there are detractors out there waiting to jump on these. They will jump on it and push detracting ideas and detracting things, particularly on our young people who are looking for new things, who are looking for popular things. And then you get cheapness coming into it, people looking cheap things, and it doesn't work.
Thank you. Then can I just pause you? We're here at the beautiful Angela's, birthday celebration.
Yes.
Because for when I heard the age and I looked at the sister, I thought, wow.
Manhood Academy, man.
Yeah, you learn naturally radio.
Forte, man.
You learn naturally.
Wow. Yeah, you learn naturally radio.
Forte, man.
This is our forte. We can do this.
All right.
On the spot live, you learn natural radio, Manhood Academy, across your airwaves. And if we put them together, then there's a clear space. And in that clear space is where we can create the magic, the manifestation of our ancestors that await. No more sleeping, no more meditating. It's time for us to start moving and elevating the minds of those who still, get it? So now sleeping gods will no longer lie. And when I speak to my people, I will speak in the eye, because love is unity and unity is community. And right now, this is a message from Manhood Academy to you. And we say,
You learn naturally.
yeah, you learn naturally radio.
Forte, man.
You learn natural radio. Natural radio. Natural radio. Natural radio. Natural radio. Wow. Wow. Wow.
I know that the exhibition downstairs here at the Chestnut Centre, it touches on many of the greats are displayed on the boards and in the context of the exhibition. And I know you are one that's travelled with many of these great artists. I know you are a highly respected teacher, writer, producer, musician. Tell me, what defines reggae? What's the principles of reggae music? If we are to rebirth, or not even rebirth, if we are to give young people, at You Learn Naturally, we work with a lot of young people, and I don't hear them listen to reggae music. If we're for them to feel it, or for it to be re-expressed for them, what principles must we hold on to?
Rebirth is not a nice word. I'm glad you say that.
Okay.
I think continuation is the key to this.
Yes.
And we're finding that out with African education in general, that we have got to, it's like archaeology, we got to dig up and think, because of the forced break in our African educational system. Same thing is happening in reggae. There's been a forced break, particularly through material acquisitions among the makers of reggae. So now what we need to do is to identify the aesthetics that has made our music educational, the qualities that has made our music inspiring, the qualities that has given us hope, and realize that these are everlasting qualities. These do not change because, say, in the United Kingdom, our material circumstances are quite different to, say, the material circumstances of Jamaica in the 1940s, 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why I'm wondering about the context now, and how reggae living in the 40s, 50s, 60s on like this, in a place like England today, being so different, as you say, from the root context. Is it that the principles that you say are reggae principles will just come through another musical form, and it's something else? Then it's another musical form. Can it be like that, or is there a space for reggae to continue and still to be called reggae music, and young people are doing reggae music today?
Yes, we have to create that space. Language has a lot to do with it as well. A lot of terms we're using in the UK. Yes, I know different environment will create its different language, but these words we're using create disjunctures. One that easily springs to mind is old school. Now if you have old school, then I hear immediately new school. Instead of continuing, what we should now be looking at as classics, we're calling it old school.
Okay.
And we're losing in that translation, we're losing many of the things we're seeking for as education. Now, at one time in reggae music, we could see the music as carrying the voice of the people, meaning carrying the aspirations, the expectations, the expressions, and even the motivation, being a motivational force among the people. A lot of that, it's there, but in smaller numbers, as we have less. I wonder if I could call these people griots. They're now more artists now, you see.
This is the word that's in my mind.
Griots.
The griot. Now, this is it. Isn't the reggae music? Shouldn't. What would happen if we took the learning to the root of where it's coming from, like this? Will it still look like reggae music, or will it become? Is it another rooted form of the storyteller, the drumming, the rooted place like this?
It will be. It can be. It can be. It will be, and it must be. Otherwise, it will not. The learning, the education that can come from the music must first be with and within the creators of the music. The creators of the music will, like everything else on earth, change over time. We're all just passing through earth. So the people who walked in the 1940s, 50s and 60s will have to be replaced by, well, it's just a generational thing. People have to change. What is happening is that, particularly influenced by the environment in which these people are, their material circumstances distract from that grill, that awareness of the importance of reggae in the education of our people. A lot of people will attribute that to the rising technology and people getting information from here, there, and ever. It's not the same. It's not the same because of that intrinsic thing in music which can hit you, but hit you in a high rather than let you feel pain. It hits you in such a way that it sticks with you. That is missing, I don't know, I'm going to say it's missing through weakness, through people consciously seeking to become popular rather than feeling it for the people. And that is where the whole thing is changing. People don't feel for ourselves anymore. It's too individual now. It's very selfish, if you like, because I see other communities around us in England who, they're not living this one man or one woman-ism. They live in communally. They're working together. They hold classics. They hold traditions together. In England today, we seem to think that everything other communities create, we have to have them, we have to use them. And all we're doing is making ourselves consumers rather than creators of the very objects and information that we need to educate our future generation. Mm-hmm. It still doesn't make, with all these new inventions, other people's new inventions, it still doesn't make reggae music less potent as an educational tool. It's the creators of reggae music who are failing to connect. They're failing to connect because their objective is different. the orientation should not be different, but they, through their own weakness of self-aggrandization, cause that newness to be so important to them. In other words, we get affected. We pick up people cold too easily. People should have a cold and you fit and feel good the same way. But we're picking up a thing from a man, make a thing, you have it and it causes ease. You know, I don't know if it's that overall thing that, yes, we like everybody. And this is where I now, to be a little bit personal, would fight against this black thing. From you say black, now you're saying white, and all these binary positions, and you're tied into that like we're all the same except one black, one white. We are not all the same. Hence the importance of our art and our culture to teach us. It's been like that for time. And I'm saying, regardless of new inventions, which there must be, and our people has contributed, as you know, to a lot of the new technologies and the new ideas. We contribute to them, yes. Some could even claim that we are the creators of some of these new things. Even though that is the case, we seem to believe, and we put things into categories. This the old school, we talked about that earlier. This new school, my thing different. I've even heard man say, theme Rasta, a new thing. You behave yourself. How could it be? From it is new, it is not what it is or what it should be. That is the problem we have with education, and not just music, the arts in general, the entire arts thing. And you find in terms of the students, the recipients, the ability to decode is also becoming mystifying now. It's becoming like a special knowledge now. Boy, you understand that. It's there. But the nurturing process is also part of that now, where I said, boy, me born in England, me learn it this way. Nonsense. Nonsense. It is there, you can learn it. I know that the producers take on a different role. They come into the music with set expectations. Many of them quit after a set period of time when these set expectations are not met. I disqualify you. I'm sorry, I disqualify you. If you quit because you've been doing this thing for so long and you don't get that thing from it, I'm sorry, you don't have the substance. You didn't have it in the first place. The people with the substance, like we said before, are those people who understand our community, the needs of our community, the aspirations of our community, and are bold enough to set the pace. This is where my community should be heading. Great Bob Marley said, treading on the same wine press too long. Time we got to rebel and do that. Yes, that means time to accept new ideas. It says it, rebel, rebel, rebel. That is to accept new ideas and to bring new ideas into the music. But new ideas should not alter the aesthetics of what we're doing. We've got to decide that. Too many outside people come claim them is this and them is that, and setting standards for us to follow. Hence the damage that has been done by other people's educational system. We have allowed other people to dictate the terms on which we interpret creativity.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. Well, that gets right to the point.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Reprendre votre thérapie, d'aller en partie. Votre fils a quand même...
Yo, for those of you in the black, I want you to know this is Nubian Jag, willing you to turn on track and listen to You Learn Naturally Radio. Naturally Radio.
I relapse from again.
How does it feel to finally be free? Wonder will I ever know?
You Learn Naturally Radio. Get involved now.
I do have a final point, maybe the global presence of reggae music, the way that, particularly I have an interest, and I try to observe the way in Africa, on the continents, continental Africans are working the form. How do you experience this?
You will find that many communities in Africa, I hate to use the word countries, many communities in Africa has got the same cry that I have about reggae music. Ghana, I could say Ghana for example, they are disappointed at what is now being projected as reggae music. They see this music as a music which is awakening our political education, awakening our health awareness. That's reggae, you check all of it. And the whole thing about living together, working together, developing enterprises together, and all that is missing now to the self-aggrandization that is going on. That is disappointing Ghana, for example. I know that for a fact. I'm not surprised of the popularity of, some people even call it roots reggae on the continent. I'm not surprised at all, because that is communicating with the people's spirit, like we were saying all along, communicating with the aspirations, even communicating with the felt experiences. Many of the things we experience, say in the Caribbean for example, our people in Africa experience these things. And when we as creators of reggae music can codify these things in a way that people can feel it, they can dance to it, they can listen to it, they can sing to it, they can meditate on these things, yes, it will have strong resonance, I'm sure of that. But when we're taking on things, you can hear it, it's there at the peripheral. They just looking in on the individual rather than the community, which is the base of our education. It's a communal thing where we're learning from one another, and we're learning, most importantly, to hold it together, to speak to one another, to work together, develop it. And then all that is going on in the UK, I'm sorry, we're not developing as a community.
You've touched something for me. In our schooling here at You Learn Naturally, we have a way of using the drumming to teach the math and science, and it's a binary style of drumming. And I wonder if you could just share a word, because I know you're a musician. If you can share a word on the range, the range of musical principle that is reggae music, and so because at some place someone would say come another thing, so can you define that range?
I get your point.
I'll give you one additional thing to that. We've travelled to the Caribbean, members of the school, for graduation and things like this, and we have a tradition now of connecting with the kumina, those traditions of drumming and culture, and that connectedness. I'm interested in the relationship for this.
Yes, that is good, and also you can add to that other aspects such as the ring games, even work songs.
Yeah, definitely.
Regardless of the new technologies, work songs about people working together, working in rhythm, counting, even crushing things in a mortar. Yes, I know you can go, all of that.
That's very good. We teach breathing principle for this.
That is a part of the health
yoga
aspect. Yes,
that's right.
And the unifying of the spirit with the breath, and again the light itself. And that might be one of the great affectations, if you like, in that in many African communities we live under the sun. In Europe and these places we live under the brick and under the walls. So yes, we can take it, but we don't want to bring too many circumstances in it to justify backwardness. In these over-industrialized places, we get very backward, and we're living like robots. We don't want to justify any of that, because we come from learning where we're listening. If you again go back to a lot of reggae music, people will tell us to listen to the birds, listen to the bees, listen to the wind, listen to the rain, listen to this. It's not just about you feeling bad about police. Are you running and they doing this to you, they doing that to you, they do no. Come on, you do that to overcome that.
Harmony with nature.
Yes. And
on the structure though, I think this so the structure related to nature, I don't hear that in the reggae music as much as obviously the ones creating it have tuned in for them to create what they're creating. They're tuned into the harmony with nature. But are you saying that reggae music can and should reflect this in this way?
I'm saying that even in this environment, if we hold strong to our traditions generally, we would hold strong to our musical traditions. Yes, nothing wrong with our music still be, well, maybe not newspaper now, but our music should be our Facebook rather than the guy's Facebook. It can work, it can connect. Our music should be our WhatsApp. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to use the guy's WhatsApp to make that connection. We should make that connection with our music. It doesn't take much to tune in to one spirit if that spirit is nurtured from young. So when we talk about education, we're not talking about the rebirth of a person. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the nurturing of babes and sucklings into that holistic being that we can call an African being. Wherever you are born, you have that. Unfortunately, we've got to search through the pile of junk people are now calling. And you know something, a lot of even the rhythms, I'm being generous in saying rhythms because most of them playing 2-3 rhythms. They're not even aware of the multitude of rhythms that we play to make up reggae music, just like we do all over the continent of Africa. We play a multitude of rhythms on top of rhythm. We're not even getting that in reggae now because a man sit down in the yard, him alone. lost a communal aspect. Now I'm communicating with a guy's computer, a guy's software, a guy's ways of making music. And the disconnect starts there, you see. So the nurturing. I do advocate teaching in a community settings. Community setting doesn't mean 100 or 200 people. 6 of you is a community. 5 of you is a community. Nothing wrong with that. And you look at what they call in singing, for example. It's one man making some noise and calling it singing, and sometimes it's monotone, him singing one tone. No. We sing in groups. We don't have that anymore. And it's necessary.
Harmonize.
We don't have 5 people singing anymore. We don't have 50 people singing anymore unless you're going to the guy church and singing some other people things. It's sad, but that's the way it is. It shouldn't be. And there are those of us, though, who hold strong to the importance of music as a connector of our spirits, of our people. We hold strong to that. There are some of us who, good heavens, we're not going to leave that because there's nowhere to go. If you leave it, then you haven't got anything. You left everything because you become what you did not even expect of yourself. Alright? Okay.
It's blessed. It's blessed. It's been a real pleasure.
Hope so.
Yeah, highly informative. So, Ras, you are, as I said at the beginning, there's many things we could talk about, and perhaps on another day we can go into some other stories.
Most definitely.
But it's been a real honour to have you here at ULEN Naturally Radio.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reprendre votre thérapie, d'aller en partie. Votre fils a quand même...
Yo, for those of you in the black, I want you to know this is Nibi Jag, willing you to turn on track and listen to ULEN Naturally Radio. Naturally Radio. Yeah, I realize from again.
How does it feel to finally be free? Wonder will I ever know?
ULEN Naturally Radio. Get involved now.